You know, I love this guy, but every single time we cook together on camera, he never lets me talk.
You know, you're not the first person to tell me that.
You know, I mentioned before the break we're doing ceviche. You know, what is ceviche?
It's a pickled fish, basically. It's a raw fish that we're going to cube up into about 1/4-inch dice, and then we're going to marinate it in an acid. Today we're using lime juice. You could easily use lemon juice. You could mix some lemon juice, orange juice, just an acid. And what the acid does is basically cooks the fish.
Chemically cooks it,
Chemically
basically.
cooks the
But
fish.
all natural, no chemicals at all.
No chemicals, no heat. We're going to use fresh squeezed lime juice, and that's very important as opposed to using concentrated lime juice from a bottle. You're going to get a bitterness and too strong of a flavor from a concentrated lime juice out of the bottle.
Yes.
You're going to get a nice freshness from a fresh squeezed lime. So we're starting out with a beautiful piece of red snapper.
Oh man, this is between this and ahi, probably my favorite fish.
I love ahi too. The red snapper is going to give us a nice firm white fillet when it's finished pickling, and it turns out just beautiful for this. In the islands, they might use yellowtail snapper. You could use mahi-mahi. You could use tilapia for a less expensive alternative.
Yeah.
Shrimp, scallops, salmon.
Calamari. Yeah.
You know, any type of seafood basically lends itself to doing this.
Awesome.
So we're going to start out just by dicing this up into about a 1/4-inch dice.
Now, why don't you cut it into bigger pieces?
Because I want it to, this is going to be more like an appetizer, and I want it to be able to fit into my little cups that we've got up here.
Okay. But if you want to do it in bigger pieces, you probably could.
You certainly could. You could do the whole side, actually. I mean, you could do the whole fillet if you wanted. I just like littler pieces because I generally serve this as an appetizer or a pre-course to a meal and not as the main ingredient. And there we go from there. And then we're just going to come across this way. They want me to keep the cutting board in the same spot.
Oh, you got to, man. That's our target for the camera.
That's exactly right. So we're just going to come across and finish dicing this up. And then we're just going to put it in here. I've already diced up some more. We want about a pound. 2 nice sized red snapper fillets are going to be good.
Okay.
But we want about a pound. Now we're going to bring this over here. The next thing we're going to do is add the lime juice to pickle it, basically. We're going to take about the juice of 7 to 9 fresh limes.
Okay.
You want to make sure you cover this very well and that we get everything, you know, marinated and macerated.
And it's got to stay cold too.
It's got to stay cold, exactly. So we're going to save about a 1/4 cup of that.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to use that again later.
Put that later on in the final product.
Exactly. Now we're going to make sure that that's all turned around and gets covered, nice and covered there. You're going to want to cover that with saran wrap, put it in your refrigerator for a minimum of 4 hours. I like to do it overnight.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a good way to do it overnight.
The longer you do it, the better the fish is going to taste and the firmer texture the fish is going to have.
Yeah.
So I really like to do it overnight, but you can do it in as little as 4 hours.
Awesome.
So I've already done some overnight, so we can go on with the recipe and not have to wait till tomorrow to
And man,
finish this.
I can just eat this stuff just like this.
I can too.
It's so
wonderful
good.
just like that. But we're going to add some fresh flavors to it as well. The reason I don't add the onions, the peppers, the mango to it when I'm marinating it is I don't want to pickle the fresh vegetables and fruits.
Exactly.
I want them to retain their flavor. I want them to have that nice crisp flavor of the onion, the crisp flavor of the red peppers.
And everything has a different flavor to it because if you put it all in here together, it's all going to just kind of
muddle up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to start out by, first thing I'm going to do is season my fish with just a little bit of kosher salt. You could use sea salt as well. I use kosher salt when I cook. It's just natural to me to use that. The next thing we're going to do, about a 1/2 cup of finely diced mango.
Yes.
You know, you got to get a little bit of sweetness in there with it.
Without having to add sugar. That's a great way to do it.
About a 1/4 cup of finely diced red bell pepper. Just a little crunch, so a little texture thing going on there, as well as a really sweet kind of a flavor.
I've actually had mine ceviche before where you actually put a habanero or, you know, any kind of poblano or anything like that in there, any kind of pepper.
If I'm doing it for myself, I've got habanero in there, just plenty of it.
Yeah.
For the general public, you know, that heat off a habanero can really take it to the
light
next
you up.
level.
That's what we're looking for, though,
exactly.
right?
You and I like that kind of stuff. A nice red pepper, finely diced. I use the red pepper again because of the sweetness involved.
Okay.
Gives you a nice flavor, a nice clean onion flavor, and a little bit sweeter than your normal. And I didn't want to use Vidalias. Vidalias tend to lose their they've got so much sugar, they'll lose their structure and their texture with the acid. So we're going to put that
red onion action going on.
Cilantro.
Of course.
Gotta have
it in
cilantro.
ceviche.
Just a little bit there, not enough to overpower anything. cumin.
What's that about? Maybe a
About
teaspoon?
a teaspoon of cumin. And then I'm going to take about that quarter of lime juice, put it back over top of it. That way.
And it kind of comes like a fish salsa almost, because you need that little acid in there with
boss,
the fat and the oil that you're going to put in here in just a second.
That's probably the best description of what this actually is that you come up with, is a fish salsa. And it's just so good. Now,
I'm really starting to smell everything coming together.
Everything's
on
coming
that
together.
Emerald. I'm liking that a lot.
I think you're going to like it too. And there's several different ways to serve this. I have served it in a wine glass with a couple of shrimp around the top edge, and then just
that way you can charge a lot for it, right?
You can charge a lot for it that way in the restaurant. I've served it just in a bowl with plantain chips, like I have a few around our little bowl here. But today we're just going to take it, and I've hollowed out some cucumber cups here for us, and a couple of little miniature peppers. These are sweet bell type peppers.
Yeah, I've seen those. They come in bags in our produce department,
They come in a bag
right?
in our produce department, and we're just going to.
If some of it falls out, it's okay, isn't it?
That's quite all right.
Let me hold this up here for you a little bit,
That might help.
so everybody can see.
That's right. We're just going to fill that up. Like you say, if a little bit falls out, it's not going to hurt anything.
You know,
The colors, are very beautiful with this.
This is one of the things that you need to have if you're afraid of stuff like this. It needs to be on your bucket list to try to eat this, because it's just amazing.
It's a phenomenal dish.
And I like like you said, you have the cucumbers and the peppers in here. Kind of gives you a vehicle. You just pick that thing up, pop it in your mouth, and you're good.
You know, a good friend of mine told me once about artichokes, that an artichoke is nothing more than a vehicle for butter. So, we've got cucumbers that are a vehicle for fish. It's great with everything, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
liking that. When we come back, you're just not going to believe what Emerald's doing for dessert. But first, it's time to announce our winner of the Cookin' with Kroger sweepstakes.